book I just finished reading by Roxie Nafousi. It's called Manifest 7 Steps to Living Your Best Life. Just a little note I want to say about this. I know a lot of people might be misconstrued with what they think about like the law of attraction or like the idea of manifesting, and a lot of people think it's kind of BS. But what I can tell you, like after reading this book, is that if you can remember the main ideas of like neuroplasticity and neuroscience, then understanding the way your thoughts affect your behavioral patterns and things like that are extremely crucial. So if you're willing to do the 7 steps of this book offers, then you will reach what you're trying to manifest. And the first step of manifesting is about being clear with your vision. Clear with your vision. Okay? Can we visualize the things that we desire most? We will then create a physiological change in our body that is going to help us make this shift, like in our thinking patterns and our behavioral patterns. Basically, our vibrational frequency is like how it's kind of explained, like in that quantum physics realm of consequentially. Because of this, we're going to determine what we bring into our lives, what we attract, by understanding what we know and what we want, because we're going to be able to think in those patterns and behave in those patterns and what we want. A huge point to understand with a lot of this stuff is that our brain really, when we create an experience in our mind, our body and our brain really doesn't know much of a difference whether it was real or not, or whether it's entirely imagined. And a lot of times you can think about this, when we are scared or we're worried about something that's going to happen, our body literally is behaving like something tragic has already happened. We are feeling the flight or fight response that's like in our body. We're feeling extremely agitated, our heart rate's going faster, and nothing's even happened. So we already know, based off the fight or flight response, that we can create experience that feels real to our body just by our thoughts. A big idea within being clear in your vision and manifesting is that you have to do the flip side of that. Rather than thinking in fear and doubt, you want to be able to think through the lens of achievement, accomplishment, love, empowerment, gratitude, those type of things. You have to nail down the specificity in your journey, because the biggest thing that manifesting can offer us is not to help us attract things for us to possess, but to help us unleash our most empowered, authentic, self-loving, and truly magnificent version of ourselves that there is. And so an action step that she has in chapter 1 is creating a vision board. But how she recommends doing is like, go ahead, set your scene. That's step 1 for this part. Choose your medium. Are you going to do it on the internet? Are you going to draw? Are you going to paint? Are you going to make a song? You know, it like depends how artistic you want to be, or if you just want to write, do that. Okay. And she recommends taking out a huge sheet of paper and writing down your goal. You can use images as well to help reflect on what you want to achieve within your vision this year. Okay, so you got to choose a timeline. That's the next part in this, in your vision board. So let's say 6 months, or let's say 1 year from today. And then you got to get in the zone. Okay, so from there you want to feel, getting in the zone is not just like the zone of when you're working on the vision board. It's literally like, where do you want to actually be emotionally and mentally during that experience next year when you're letting these goals exist already. Okay, like how are you going to feel within yourself? What kind of relationships will you have around you? What kind of house are you going to be living in? What profession are you going to be having? Like, you actually want to write those down too and feel them. Like, feel what it's like to feel grateful during those times when you have your new house or you have your new job. Okay. Number 5 step that she has within this vision board process is to separate your life into categories. You got personal development, love and romance, career, friends, family, house, home, and hobby/leisure. And then another step afterwards is about designing your life, like really now you're getting into the process of designing it all. What's it actually going to look like? Okay. And this is where you want to have a minimum of 3 things in each of the categories that I mentioned before. So in your career, you want to have 3 goals that you're going for, friends and family 3, right? And within those, you are going to have your images that you're putting on your vision board, and you gotta design the process to get there, okay? And then after you've designed the process to get there, like for instance, like if you wanted to be, for instance, in my case, calisthenics, right? I want to have a lot of goals within calisthenics this year. So if I wanted to be able to do the handstand push-ups and the parallettes, I will have a picture of me or a picture of someone doing that and have it on my vision board. and then I would write about the process of how it's going to take me to get there. For instance, for me, practicing calisthenics 4 days a week, and I have that on my calendar, and so I'm just going to have to make sure I check that off every single week I go, 4 times a week. Number 2, remove fear and doubt. I think she does a great job with this book. I'm like really new into a lot of this like manifesting type stuff. I mean, I've meditated before in the past few years, but understanding how to really like unwire my negative thinking patterns and then turning them into very positive ones is kind of a newer process for me. And I lived in a lot of fear and doubt previously. So this is a super great chapter for anyone watching this video. We manifest like the things that pop up in our lives. They're literally happen from our subconscious beliefs about what you even deserve right now. Like what you're living today is only because you tolerate it right now, and the life you live right now is only happening because your past self allowed it to happen, and it permits it and enables it. And same thing with right now, why you continue to live the way you do is because you're enabling it to happen, and a lot of this stuff is happening subconsciously. And so she has some big statistics in here that are important to remember. Like 90%, 95% of our thinking is actually subconscious. We're not even like actually thinking about doing these thoughts. They just happen in our brain, and they turn into decisions, reactions, perceptions, behavioral patterns. That's what happens with our subconscious mind. And one thing that our subconscious holds on to over and over again is fear and doubt. Okay? And this comes in the form of insecurities, limiting beliefs, feeling unworthy, and a lack of trust in the universe or God, whatever you want to call it. Lack of trust in the communities around you. Basically, cool part she makes here. She says, fear and doubt often mask themselves as friends. They tell you they're protecting you from inevitable disappointment, when in reality, they're actively holding you back from unlocking abundance in your life. She has you do here, she has you kind of like go back and look at your vision board again, and she's like, if you did your vision board through the lens of fear and doubt, let's like completely throw those ideas out the window. As long as you're doing something that is like physically possible, it doesn't disobey the law of physics, let's write it down and make a goal and a vision out of it. Okay, so when we give ourselves full permission to dream on like what we really want, our fears and doubts have nowhere to hide. They're like out of the picture, and we can see what we really want. She says to progress in any journey, you must identify and work to remove the fear and doubt roadblocks in your life. This is what she calls inner work, and this is self-development in action. You have to get rid of all those barriers and blocks that consist of fear and doubt to make any progress in what you want and your goals. And a really useful exercise she has in here towards the end of this chapter is identifying your fear and doubt by asking yourself some questions about the things you want. Actually ask yourself, do you really believe that you're worthy of them? Do you trust that you can handle them? Do you believe that it's really possible, like really? And what insecurities do you have right now that are surrounding your fear and doubt? What are those limiting beliefs? Actually write those down. Once we have clearly identified what our fears and doubts are, now we have to get to the process of removing that. And how you do that is, she has 4 ideas to do that. Master your thoughts, number 1. 2, watch your language. 3, use mantras. And 4, practice visualization. So number 1, for mastering your thoughts, the subconscious mind obeys the conscious mind. So whatever we consciously think, our subconscious will perceive it to be true. This is actually a huge point. I actually did this meditation conference. This guy, Michael J. Rosenfeld here in Medellin, Colombia, was really cool. He showed you how to understand how to master your thoughts as well. And you have to get into the point of, he used an exercise where it was like, imagine where you're at right now. Like, how are you feeling right now? Are you like at a scale of 0 to 10? Are you feeling like 4, 5, 6, 7? Okay, so let's say you feel like 5, and you know you want, if you have an idea of what your 10 feels like, if you've done this process before, you've written down, like I mentioned in the first vision, like where your 10 is, then you have to consciously think in the way that your 10 out of 10 self would think and behave and feel, and like your posture and everything. And that's what is the big part of mastering your thoughts that Roxie's talking about here too. So obviously we want to choose and think of positive thoughts and emotions. That's the only way we're gonna get to where we wanna be. So this is why you gotta master your thoughts. This is what she says, okay? So when we consciously choose to think positive, empowering thoughts that trigger our high vibe emotions. And she gets a lot deeper into the high vibe and low vibe emotions actually in the intro, and I should have mentioned that at the start. But basically your high vibe emotions are obviously things that are positive, like love and gratitude, and then your low vibe emotions are things like fear and sadness and stuff like that. Consciously thinking positive and these empowering thoughts, we're actually going to feel these emotions too that are positive. And this is going to do everything that we need for our body physiologically too. Our heart rate's gonna slow down, we're gonna feel healthier, we're gonna have less cortisol. If we're working on building muscle, our body's actually gonna build more muscle because we're not in a survival state, we're in like an abundant state, an anabolic state. We can only have one thought at a time, and every single person has about 60 thoughts a day. 90% of them are repetitive. 80% of those thoughts are negative. So this is where it becomes important to reframe our perspective on what is even happening in our lives. A lot of times when we're experiencing like fear and doubt, we have such a negative perspective and an incorrect perspective frequently too on what actually even happened to someone when they were talking shit to us, or what even happened when you felt like you got disobeyed or someone was being rude to you, or whatever happened. You know, maybe there's some truth behind a lot of those things, but a lot of times your perspective is wrong. And so we have to reframe our perspective. Anytime you're feeling fear and doubt around a certain topic, idea, subject, experience that happened, you need to now shift to an empowering perspective. Like, okay, what are the lessons I can learn from this? Like, how can I apply my new lessons to what I'm gonna do next? And how can I just get rid of that baggage that I was feeling and just feel great now? Number 2 in this part on removing fear and doubt is watching your language. You gotta talk about what do you want, not what you don't. A lot of times we're like, oh, I hate when it's like this, and I hate when it's like that. It's cold outside and it's windy, and like none of this stuff's working for me. Like, oh, the ice machine. And rather than removing the words if, replacing them with when. A lot of times, and I've been guilty of this in the past too a lot, and this is why this chapter's been powerful for me. But I'm like, oh, you know, if I can make this amount of money, or if I can get to this level in what I'm doing in my athletic career, then this. But no, it's okay. You got to understand that it's when, you know. Like if you're Michael Jordan, or if you're like Kobe, you wouldn't say like, yeah, if I make it to the NBA, it'd be cool if I could go win 5-6 championships. It's like, those guys knew they were going. It was not a matter of if, it was a matter of when. And then they went and, you know, first round picks, and then went and won championships because they knew they were worth it. These mantras that she mentions, you could think of them as affirmations as well. While you're doing meditations or something like that, or while you're thinking during the day, while you're going through something that's difficult, you have to think like that, you know, you're powerful, you have limitless potential. I'm grateful for the life I have, the people around me that are awesome. Like having these thoughts and writing these things down too, and feeling them during your meditations. That way, during your daily practice or when you're living life, you just feel those things rather than feeling the opposite, feeling discern and sadness around the people that are with you, and you know, the people that you are spending all your time with. It's going to change you into being the person that you want to be. To dive deeper into removing fear and doubt, she says that we have to practice and cultivate self-love. And so what that really means, like self-love, what it truly means is valuing your own well-being and happiness, showing up for yourself and championing yourself, letting go of judgment, regret, and negative self-talk, embracing the most authentic version of yourself, offering yourself the same level of kindness, patience, and forgiveness that you offer so freely to others. And so self-love is a very important behavior that we have to adopt if we really want to, you know, reach our dreams. And this is like practicing self-compassion and self-love were like clinically, like they were studied, clinically significantly more effective than a lot of other interventions at like eliminating depression. And these would be compared to things like taking antidepressants and drugs that were pharmaceuticals, of course, that are supposed to help fix your sadness and anxiety. It was actually way more effective to have like a self-compassion, like therapeutic session. And this was done through like clinical therapists and stuff like that, and journaling processes. But the whole concept of self-kindness and compassion a lot of times historically has been thrown under the rug because it's seen as soft and like empathetic, because it's like, oh, like you have to like tell yourself that you love yourself, like, and you have to be, and that's like awkward and selfish to like act like you love yourself all the time, when really it's extremely important. And at the end of the day, what matters most is you, you know, because if you're not worried about you, you're dead. That's it. Like, you know, on the airplanes, they tell you if this airplane is gonna crash, put your oxygen mask on first, not anyone else's, because you gotta put yours on so you can help other people. That's what self-love is about. Self-love is about putting that mask on yourself in the airplane so that way you can go and help someone else. Self-love. Number one, we have to become aware and mindful. How do we do this? Well, we have to do this through yoga, meditation, and journaling. And then from there, how do you honor where you are? That's the next part in cultivating self-love. Honoring where you are is just knowing that, like, where you're at right now is probably not where you want to be, but you're not gonna reach your championship level tomorrow. You're not gonna. It's a process. It's a journey, and so you have to honor that, and you have to respect that, because that's a cool part of the journey. Is just like, oh, okay, like I have all this ground to make, and I'm putting in the efforts to make it happen. And then next, you got to honor where you want to be tomorrow. Okay, so once you honor where you're at today, and you honor where you're at tomorrow, you will do what it takes to reach your goals. Like, and this is the action part that we're about to get into in step 3, and very important is the action. Okay, but the ultimate practice of self-love is perfectly balancing what you need today with what your future self needs tomorrow. I think that's really cool how she explained it like that. That's what the ultimate practice of self-love is, because it totally makes sense. I never really thought about it like that when honestly before this book, but the way she put that in one sentence, I thought was gold. And that's exactly what makes sense for people to understand why self-love is so important. And the last note that she makes about self-love and removing fear and doubt is that we probably made some mistakes, right? We've probably done things that were embarrassing. We might have done some bad things. And the important things to know about that moving forward is that we were doing our best at the time. We were probably desperate. We didn't know any better. Number 2, there's always a valuable lesson to take away from any and every experience. And number 3, we are not the same person we were then that we are now. And since then, we've grown, evolved, and matured. And once you know that about yourself, it's a lot easier to just let go of those experiences, because we just hold on to them like, oh, that happened to me, or I did that, and he thinks this of me now, and she probably thinks I'm the worst or whatever. When you understand that you're not that person anymore, and you were trying to do your best, and now you've learned the lessons, then you're good. You can now move forward and remove that fear and doubt. 3, align your behavior. This is the most important one right here, in my opinion. I mean, they're all super important, obviously, but it all comes down to aligning your behavior, because this is what we're doing. When we're getting to our goals, when we're trying to manifest our greatness, the only way you're gonna make it happen, you can wish it, you can want it, you can think it, you can believe it, but you won't get there without the means of action. And that's what aligning your behavior is. And I think this is where a lot of people get kind of historically have been thrown off by things like the law of attraction and manifestation, because they think it's like a passive journey, but really this is a super active process. And aligning behavior is showing the universe in action what you believe you deserve. This is because the way we behave is a direct reflection of our self-worth. That's why it's important to align your behavior, right? If you're behaving like an athlete and you're working hard and you're in the gym and you're going 6-7 days a week and you're eating all the food, you're behaving like a champion, and you're Michael Phelps and you're eating 10,000 calories a day and you're swimming 20 times a week, it's no surprise that you win all the gold medals. So this is the idea of being proactive in your manifestation journey. And this requires what Roxie says. She says this requires fearlessness that shows the universe that you're worthy and you're deserving and you're ready. And that's why you just keep working hard, because you're showing yourself, obviously you're showing yourself, number one, but you're showing everyone around you that you're worthy of receiving what you want. Process, this idea is actually, it's sort of like fake it till you make it is how she explains it, but she says fake it till you become it. Because right, you're probably not gonna be, right now you're probably not who you wanna be in 5 years. but you're gonna have to start acting like it right now. If you want to get there, you're gonna have to start having those behaviors. Like, there's no more time for excuses like I'm young, I'm still getting drunk every weekend, and like, yeah, in 5 years I want to have a business that's making this amount of impact and this amount of revenue, but right now, you know, I'm just having fun, I'm young, and I'm getting blacked out every weekend. It's okay. No. If you really want to reach those goals, then you got to start acting like it right now. And that's what this step is. Step 3, align your behavior. And the way you got to do this is you got to get comfortable with discomfort. For instance, for me, a good example for what I'm doing right now, like, I want to be a leader in global health. I want to have impact on making people healthy, lowering obesity rates. And so to do that globally, I need to know like other languages. And so that's why I'm now out here in a Latin American country, and I'm practicing Spanish every single day. And so I'm living it now. I'm living my global health impact, and it's still it's in its infancy, but it's a process right now. I'm speaking with people that are from this country, and I get to talk about like what matters to me with the health and wellness, and that's cool because that's just one step along the road in my journey becoming someone that knows how to impact global health. Don't give up when faced with challenges. So challenges are absolutely a blessing is what she explains them as, and I think that's really cool because a lot of times we're scared of challenges. And you think about it, like if you want to look at sports again, people are extremely afraid to play like the toughest team in the league, right? But when you go there, it's a blessing to play them because you see the gap of where you want to be versus where you're at now. And that's a blessing. And it's like taking that L is not always the most satisfying feeling in the world, but that's what it takes sometimes. That's the blessing you need to be reminded about what it takes to get to where you want to be. And she mentions if you want to get out of the comfort zone, she uses the famous 5-second rule that Mel Robbins has talked about. If you're feeling any little bit of doubt, fear, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like this is what obviously a lot of people talk about. If you want to go hit on girls, like for guys, it's a very common thing. If you're feeling like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like if you're feeling this fear to go talk to the girl, you got to do it like right before that even hits you hard, because once it's past that 5 seconds, you're gonna sit there and be like, nah, I'm good. We have to create the healthy habits that go with our goals, right? So if you're a swimmer and you're trying to become an Olympian, guess what? You got to go swim 10 times a week probably and eat a lot of calories and take care of your health. And within that, obviously, the healthy habits that she's talking about in general, though, are kind of ones that every single person needs to look at: is journaling, meditation, routines for your health, walks, breath work, exercise, gratitude. Those are the main things that you just have to have a part in your life. If you don't have those, you need to have a few of those. Especially journaling and meditation are the two huge ones that will dramatically help you align your behavior with where you want to, or with your future highest self. Step number 4 is overcoming tests from the universe. Why do we need to overcome tests from the universe? Okay, because we're gonna get tests thrown at us. And you know what they say, like this might be more of like a Christian thing or whatever, I can't really remember, but they always say like God throws his hardest battles to his strongest soldiers, right? Or something like that. And that basically is saying like you're gonna get tested hardcore along the road to your success, especially if you're looking for extremely big things. Like, let's take Tiger Woods for instance. You know, I think he just pops up immediately in my head because, like, you know, he's had a lot of success, and then he had that huge like infidelity scandal where he's hooking up with like the hottest girls out there and cheating on his wife and whatever, and you know, he's pushed past that. But that was a huge test from the universe that part he failed, and he obviously conquered a lot of their tests like along the road afterwards and before then. But that was something that the universe was throwing at him because he was having a lot of success, he was attractive, he was in good shape, he was rich, and so girls were just throwing themselves at him. And that's just a test over and over and over again to his character, really, because it really derailed a lot of his long-term success. And he's still doing great, like, obviously, I mean, he's killing it, but the impact that he could have had has been certainly tarnished to some degree because of all of that scandal. And that's because the test from the universe was something he couldn't handle then, but he's handled other tests. So one thing I've seen this happen for me a lot, and you'll and for everyone this is applicable, is you're gonna run into toxic friendships and relationships that are gonna be huge tests. And settling is not always the answer. Sometimes you think, oh, these guys are kind of nice to me and they sort of like me, and let's like just use friends for example. Like they're good to me, they're good people, but maybe these people just do the things that I don't want. Like I don't want to be blacking out every weekend. I don't want to be doing crazy drugs. I don't want to be talking shit. And sure, they're kind of funny, but that's just not what I want to be with. And so a lot of times we allow ourselves to be around people that are toxic like that because we think it's okay and they kind of like us. But really those are tests basically from the universe that you have to overcome. You have to surround yourself with the people that are supporting your growth and your vision. And so it's just like what people say, like take a look at the 5 people around you and are they serving you in the way that you want to be served? And it's like this whatever, this might sound like selfish and stuff, but like this, you need to be selfish for yourself with your friendships. You can't, if you have a vision to like make a certain impact, especially if you want to have good morality, you can't be hanging out with people that are just doing crazy things and they're like absolute criminals and narcissists and stuff like that, right? And so it makes sense. Those are the huge tests that everybody's gonna experience. And so this is kind of like a, I don't know if you call it like a filtering step in your like manifesting journey, but that's what I would kind of refer to it as. It's like you're gonna have these things that are coming in and out, and you can't just accept all of it. You're gonna have to filter out like the negative shit, and you're gonna have to embrace the positive things and find them. Like the other loss, the L's you're gonna take. When things don't go your way, the way you hope they would, you are in fact being given your greatest opportunity to show up for yourself, build inner strength, resilience, and courage. Step 5, embrace gratitude without caveats. And so without caveats, a lot of times we're like, oh, okay, yeah, I'm pretty grateful, it's cool, like my life's not the worst, but I wish it could be 20 times better, and this and that and this and that. So that's what she's talking about, and I want to get deeper into this. She makes a huge point about gratitude I thought was super important right here. If you want to know anything about this chapter, this is it. There's an underlying belief that true and full gratitude comes at the expense of drive, motivation, and our ability to progress. And what she says is she's here to remove that for us, Roxie, in this book. True gratitude without caveats does not hold you back. It is in fact an integral part of your manifesting journey. And how is that so? Well, that is by being clear in your vision about where you want to go while simultaneously being entirely grateful for all that you currently have. And that's what she calls the manifesting sweet spot. And that seems kind of like a hard bridge to walk sometimes, but that's what it takes, is being grateful for what you have right now, the experiences that are around you, but also knowing your vision and where you want to go. That's how you make it happen. You're grateful for where you're gonna go, and you're grateful for where you're at right now, because you can't get there. You can't get where you wanna go without being where you're at right now. It doesn't work that way. Improve your gratitude. She recommends doing a gratitude list and a positivity journal. The gratitude list is, she recommends writing 5 things that you're grateful for about yourself, 5 things you're grateful for about the universe, and 5 things you're grateful for about the world around you, okay? And the positivity journal is just basically writing down every single good thing that happened to you throughout the day. You do this at the end of the day. And what you start to find is that, like, as you continue to do it while you're living in your daily life, you're gonna start noticing all the great things that happen to you every single day, and you're gonna be surprised at how many awesome things happen to you. The underlying idea around gratitude, that when you hear this at first, like, switch your thinking from I have to do it for I get to do it. And you hear that at first, it doesn't sound like entirely, doesn't sound really convincing. But when you understand, like, that there's what, 8 billion people on the planet, and there's billions and billions of other creatures out here, and out of the millions and trillions of sperm or whatever that existed, and the eggs out there between your paternal grandfathers and ancestors and everything, the fact that you are here today is literally like a 1 in a 20 trillion likelihood of even happening. So you get to do everything just like absolutely by the chance of fortune. We're only here today due to an absolutely inexplicable miracle, and so we don't need to feel like we have to do things. We need to be fortunate that we get to do these things, because the possibility that we don't exist could have been out there, and we never would have got to feel what it's like to do anything and feel the breeze and go swim in a at the beach or whatever we love doing, and just living and drinking some water. It feels fantastic. Number 6, turn envy into inspiration. This was a great chapter for me. I think I've done a pretty good job with envy in the past, but I still notice that I feel envy for the people that are like where I want, they're at where I want to be right now. And I like have these excuses that I make where I'm just like, oh, they're only there because of this, and I'm not there yet because of this. And what now you understand through this chapter is that envy and inspiration are kind of like opposites. You know, envy is a low vibe, inspiration's a high vibe, because they come from like the same experience, where it's you see someone doing great and you see them doing something very powerful. And envy is where you're like, wow, why can't, like, they're doing that, why can't I do that? Inspiration is like, ah, that's cool, they had this idea to make impact in that field and they use this mechanism to do so. Wow, I'm gonna use like a similar thinking pattern and do the exact same in my field. You know, that's kind of what like inspiration is. And so it's 2023 and we're all on social media. So she recommends if you want to get really effective with doing this, turning your envy into inspiration, you have to curate your feed. You have to unfollow or mute the people you don't need, that are not serving you at all and what you're trying to achieve. And then the people that you are following, they're the ones that are inspiring you to achieve the dreams that you have. And step 2, in your social media practices, you have to scroll mindfully. A lot of times we're just going through, not even thinking, and TikTok's, you know, kind of the worst at that, because you have no idea what you're gonna get next on TikTok. But if you're gonna scroll through those things, be like, okay, why am I seeing a guy riding a motorcycle and falling over? Okay, that was kind of cool. Next one, okay, there's a leopard chasing a tiger. Okay, why do I need that? Okay, so it's kind of cool, but do I need to watch that all day long? No. So then boom, you just swipe out of the app and you gotta do what you gotta do next. Move on through the day. Sums up the thinking patterns between envious thinking and inspiration thinking like this. Envious thinking is like, this is something that they have and I can't have. Inspirational thinking is, this is something that they have and that I would like for myself too. So she says there's 4 parts for turning envy into inspiration. Number 1, you gotta become aware of it first. And I'm guilty of this too, a lot of people, but a lot of times you'll hear some envy for some people, or like haters, what we call it, and they don't even know that they're envious of someone. And we've probably felt that too. You don't even know it because you're not aware of it. You're not writing it down, you're not being mindful of it. So she recommends that you write it down, like the envy that you feel, or like, yeah, the jealousy that you feel for others. Now you have to remove the shame and judgment around the envy. It's normal. It's super normal to feel jealous and envious of people that are killing it, having success. Because they're probably dating the girls you want to date. They're probably making the money that you want to make. They're probably doing, it's normal that because you're feeling a sense of lack. And so you can't feel that sense of lack. You have to just understand that that shame and judgment was normal, but you're capable of achieving those exact same things right now. So you learn from it. That's what the next step is, and you turn that envy into inspiration. Okay? Final step in the book, trust in the universe. Final step in the book, trust in the universe. She says this is about a knowing feeling. A lot of times we have these feelings deep in our mind and our imagination about like what we really want to achieve and what we're capable of. And like, you know, the spouse we want, like we know it's there. And the fact that you know it's there, you feel it, you have to trust that it's gonna happen by aligning your behavior and removing envy and fear and doubt and doing all the things that she mentioned in the other steps. She says that impatience is the enemy of manifesting what you want. And so this process of waiting for this huge test of your self-belief and self-worth through days upon days is what it really takes to manifest what you want. That's the end of the book. There's a little epilogue at the end just talking about how she manifests the book through this process. Now it's starting to rain on me, so I'm gonna finish this video off. But great book, I totally recommend checking it out. Manifest by Roxie Nafousi. Huge for Gen Z, millennials. I love that she talks about aligning your behavior. I think that's a huge thing to understand with law of attraction manifesting, is a lot of times people just think it's wishful thinking, but it's more than that. It's actually behaving and reaching the goals that you want through action. And so if you like this video, please like and subscribe. I publish information about health, wellness, fitness, addiction, and I'm a personal trainer. And so stay tuned for more content.